from the back of the truck where the shadows get cooked. Truth wrapped in tinfoil. Come and get it while it's hot. Tinfoil taco truck. Hot takes and guacamole. Conspiracy crunch with a side of guacamole. Aliens in the kitchen, government on the grill. We spilling the salsa. Give the Matrix a thrill. Tinfoil taco truck podcast. Buckle up, buttercup. It's about to get wild. Fresh off the truck, the truth's never mild. Tinfoil taco truck.
Hi, and welcome to Tinfoil Taco Truck. I am your host, Dawn's Rays.
I'm Majestic Texan.
And good afternoon. Let's get our coffee cups ready, and we are going to dive into the UFO files today.
Yay.
Government has downloaded to a specific website that people like you, me, anyone can visit, look at the files President has promised to declassify for us. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share our screen, and we are going to go straight to that website. Share sound, even though there is no sound to most of these, I'm going to go ahead and share them. And we are going to start. This right here, let's go to the actual website. war.gov/UFO. Now, this is an actual government Department of War website. The president, and based on tremendous interest, the president has said, I'll be directing the Secretary of War and other relevant departments and agencies to begin the process of identifying and releasing government files related to alien and extraterrestrial life, unidentified aerial phenomena, God, say that word 3 times, UAPs, and unidentified flying object, UFOs, and any and all other types of information connected to these highly complex but extremely interesting and important matters. God bless America. Now, that came from President Trump. Now, this website is an official .gov website, and it is war.gov/UFO. And what you see here is actually all the files that have been released to us. There have been 2 dumps to this date. I have gone through probably, I would say, 12 pages of these files, and I haven't found any aha moments, but I have found a lot of interesting videos, a lot of interesting documentation. So, without further ado, this is the first one. And this right here, what we're viewing, it looks to be 3 ships in the water, possibly fast attack crafts from, a bigger ship, etc., etc.
And that's a USO, right? Or US, when it's submerged, it's a different acronym, I
But
think.
this isn't in the water. This is actually...
Oh, it's not.
No. It's over the water. It's flying in the water.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Okay. But it says here, AARO, which is the All Domain Anomaly Resolution Office, which is another government entity that accepts all these files, submissions, takes everything that the military has found and submits them into one location for them to easily find and use. And it's like a central command for all the UFO files that they've collected thus far. Now, this it's taken, now you see everything is in black and white, and you'll see that because it is radar that's being used to track all these things. And what the radar, it's like an electromagnetic radio waves that detect, track and identify aircraft, ships, missiles and terrain, things like that. That's what the radar does. So that's why everything's in black and white, not color. Some of them have like color variations. You'll see them, maybe in black and white, but the object appears orange. That is a color enhancement that they've done so that the object appears what descriptions were. Now, radar, since it's magnetic radio waves, our eyes can't see them necessarily because we don't use radio waves to see. So some of these are picked up on radar, but not visible to the human eye. So what we're going to go through today is we're going to go through some of these videos and documents that the Department of War has released for us. This first one, as you see, is not very long, but it is three probably fast attack ships in the water. You see the wake behind it back here. And then everything here that you see blacked out is blacked out because it's classified information on where it was actually the longitude, latitude,
Mm-hmm.
etc., and what we're seeing, what they were actually trying to track. We're not
Okay.
allowed to see that, of course. That's top secret classification. But here goes the first one, and you'll see left-hand corner. Did y'all see that?
Mm-hmm.
What was that? Okay, we're gonna play it again. You see in this corner, it actually has a shadow over the water. So it is hovering above the water, not below the waterline. It is above the water, which I think is fairly freaky. And it also has a slight weight to it.
And of course, no chance of a bird being that size,
That size, that
the
fast?
same size.
I mean,
Yeah.
that's pretty freaking fast. I mean, you see it right here. And as it's going, it's going across the water fairly quickly. Oh, why is my internet connection is unstable? Why? Oh, yeah, because I'm on a government website. Why wouldn't it be? Sorry, that conspiracy theory in me. But these are the types of files that we're going to be seeing today. Now, let's stop that one. And then we're going to go to the next.
Any of those? Just yet.
Yes. As you see here, all these are photos based on this particular document. And this document is,
I think you're cutting out a little bit there. Don't.
hear me?
There you go.
Okay, sorry about that. It says in late 2025, during
Yes.
early evening daylight hours, I, a senior U.S. intelligence officer, along with a colleague and two pilots, departed our Joint Operations Center, JOC, in a helicopter. Our mission was to investigate loud thuds heard in the mountains on a test range, coincided with an unidentified aerial phenomena, UAP. Sightings reported over the previous several nights. We aimed to search remote mountain areas for possible debris or objects that might explain the orb-like sightings. After leaving the JOC, we flew a low-altitude nap of the Earth route through the mountain range for several hours. Multiple times we spotted debris on the ground and descended for closer inspection. Each time we determined it was remnants from rockets and other projectiles that had crashed during the years of weapons testings on the range. As we continued searching near areas of reported orb activity, we discovered a large cave entrance with no visible end in sight. That's freaky. The terrain around the entrance offered no safe landing spot, so I instructed the pilot to orbit it several times for observation. We noted the location and then pressed on. Running low on fuel, we headed to a prearranged rendezvous point to meet a ground team and let my other colleague disembark. The two pilots and I then proceeded to a pre-positioned tanker on the range for refueling. Our plan was to return to base afterward, but the JOC radioed with a request to search a nearby mountain for debris spotted by one of the ground teams. By this time, the sun had set and the pilot switched to forward-looking infrared, FLIR, which I think a lot of people understand what FLIR and night vision goggles, NVGs, are. When I continued using the unaided naked eye, after a brief search of the mountain yielded no findings, the pilots began navigating back to the JOC to end the mission. I then received a message from the JOC. Radar had detected 7 hits miles up the range from our position. the same area where UAP activity had been observed on prior nights. I relayed this to the pilots and we altered course to intercept. What followed was a series of close-up UAP encounters lasting over an hour. Now, this is a live eyewitness report. They didn't give us a name of who this person is, probably due to sensitive, he said he was part of intelligence, and we can't know that kind of information, but it's supposedly somebody of a high-ranking official. Now, en route ground teams reported spotting a UAP on FLIR, describing it as super hot, low to the ground, and moving east then south at a high speed. The object then split into two different
Can I ask you?
change directions. Yes, go ahead.
What is FLIR? Do you know?
It is it's
I mean,
forward-looking
it's obviously
infrared.
an
Yeah, it's
acronym.
forward-looking
Okay, okay,
infrared. Yeah,
gotcha.
and it's when you look at FLIR, that's when you see the um black and white type photos with a hot spot becoming very white. That's kind of what FLIR is.
Okay,
And it can go into different color
okay,
patterns from green to red to, to kind of pull the different spectrums that a naked eye can't really detect. So that's what FLIR
okay.
does.
Thanks for explaining that
No problem. Okay,
direction. That's right.
upon arrival, we scanned the area using NVG, which is the night vision goggles, and FLIR and the naked eye. The ground team suddenly radioed that the object had risen from the ground, approached within 10 feet of the helicopter, dropped below us, and then sped away. Pilots observed the pilots observed it through the NVGs and saw it split into two as a similar object emerged before it, it accelerated out of sight. We briefly pursued but broke it off, unable to match its speed. So that kind of gives leeway to it not being some sort of drone. Because I mean, helicopter can probably keep up with a drone, in my opinion, and for the most part. At one point, the
Mm,
JOC informed us that several fighter jets had launched on a training mission in our operating area and requested their assistance in identifying the UAP. So now we have a couple of fighter pilots joining this soiree out in the middle of the mountains. Minutes later, the JOC directed us to nearby radar detections. We look up a hovering position. Well, I'm sorry, we took up a hovering position at approximately 700 feet above ground, which means AGL is above ground level.
mhm.
In the distance, we saw countless orange orbs swarming in all directions against the backdrop of the mountain. This display lasted several minutes before fading. The JOC then directed us to our previous position based on fresh radar hits. I provided coordinates to the pilots and we moved to intercept, hovering again at 700 feet AGL. Through NVG's, night vision goggles, the pilots and I, using the naked eye, observed two large orbs flare up side by side close to the helicopter, stationary and just above the rotary disc to our right. They were oval shaped, orange with a white or yellow center, and emitted light in all directions. After a few seconds, a third orb flared up below the pair, followed by a fourth below that, forming a total of four or five in a T formation under the original two. Moments later, they dimmed in reverse order, remaining stationary until they vanished from view. The entire event lasted 10 to 15 seconds. I didn't take photos as I was focused on assessing what it was and whether it posed a threat. After this encounter, the two pilots briefly considered landing due to the object's proximity, but opted to remain hovering at 700 feet AGL for further observations. We then spotted the fighter jets entering visual range at about 23,000 feet AGL, identifiable by their blinking navigation lights. As we watched from afar, the same type of orbs appeared directly above the fighters. They flared up one at a time in a horizontal formation, matching the jet's speed and flight path. After 10 to 15 seconds, they dimmed sequentially and disappeared. This repeated several times as the jets transitioned the airspace and eventually landed. I remarked to the pilots that it seemed the same orbs we had encountered were now chasing, quote unquote, the fighters. We also observed orange orbs flaring up and down around us for several minutes, forming a distinct triangle before vanishing. Low on fuel, the pilots decided to return to the JOC. After landing, I briefly spoke with them, mostly to express thanks. We were virtually speechless after these observations. I then entered the JOC for a quick debrief before driving home. Now, this is what they saw. That's it. But it was, and then they would see 5, 6, 7 of them, but this is the only actual picture that they saw.
So this object would split
It would,
into a,
yeah, 4 or 5 different sections. And this
interesting.
date, the date that this was actually, yeah, it doesn't say. It says won't upper narrative, it won't tell us when it was actually done. Written by a currently serving May 2026 senior US. Yeah, this is when it was released, was May 26th, but it doesn't tell us when it actually says incident date 2025, but no actual date that I can see or know how to find. It just
So when
says,
you're looking, so
go ahead.
at this website, every little link here
It
is
carries,
a different story of what they've seen.
correct. Each one of these
I
is a
mean, to
like
me, that's a lot of data.
yeah, it's just different. Like this one is another photo in that same file dump, which is I'm looking at, I believe it's this one right here is the one I was reading, if I'm not mistaken. Make sure I was in that one. Was that the first one? That's the first one. Go back. Not Syrian. It is, I think it's, no, not that one. 2022. That's this one right here. 2025, Western United States. And each one of those that I just showed you, those documents on the main line, each one of those is an instance of UFO,
Mm,
and then it's inside it is the collected
yes.
information that they got for that. So that's what we've got. Like this file, when you click into it, that's what it
Right,
is.
right. That's what I was wondering. I mean,
You can see, I mean, there's so
that's
far there's like, oh wait, 23 pages, and each page is filled with all these incidences.
mhm.
So we just went over that one. Now this one is 1940s, 1948 through 1950, I believe. And it is also one, let me find it. Yeah, there it is. Now, what this first page is, I read through it, and it's a draft of the alert plan. And this alert plan was formulated because of the orange orbs, orange and green orbs they kept seeing on specific dates. So they had to come up with some way to secure Sandia base in Albuquerque, and this was their plan to do so based on this evidence. And this is a 116-page document, and it's got the evidence in it, and it's different. Let me go down here to page 48. 48. Yeah, this right here is every time. I'm sorry, 1945. Every time these orbs were seen in New Mexico, each one is a distinct line item that was seen during that time frame. And you could say, what happened to it? Oh, it just disappeared. It exploded, extinguished itself. The size of it, softball, compare with planet Venus on on an unusually clear
Wow.
night. Yeah, that's these are the events that forced those first couple of pages, which was the security of the base based on these events. And as you see,
Well,
look at
the
how many
proximity would
instances.
make it look big. Yeah.
There's a lot of instances, 1948, each done by month, 1949, January, February. And each one is a documented event. Each one of these line items is a documented event in or around New Mexico, Albuquerque, Los Alamos.
They
Uh,
kept it pretty brief, like,
mhm.
comparing to the document we just saw.
Well, this is just the line items. Okay. Now, once I
Oh,
get through the
okay.
line, yeah, this is just the line items. Let's go on down here. Some more line, like 6 page later. It's only 1949 May, and it's still going. Several pages later, still it's in August. I mean, you see several pages later, 1949, still in August. August seemed to be a hotbed because there's like 6 pages. And these are
You know
just the
what else
light.
I'm noticing is locations, Texas to Arizona mostly.
Yeah. Well, that's the where that base kind of is. That's kind of where
Hmm.
it all in and around, I guess maybe 150, 200 miles of that base.
I should specify El Paso,
Yeah,
you know.
Sandy Base is the one that implemented all these. So it has to be in and around that base. And as you see, look at all these line items. Oh, there we go. We finally get to the end. To 1950, May 1st. And that was the last entry in this particular group of documents. And the only picture is that. But that's what every instance they saw was these orb lights. Most of them were orange or green. And of course, these are the 40s cameras, 40s, early 50s cameras. They don't take, crystal clear pictures. That's all they had.
I'm trying to, because they're comparing it to the planet Venus. So that tells me in one of those that it was much closer. It was close. So,
Yeah.
it would look, the size of that planet is huge, so it could cover it being in such close proximity. So I could see where they would use that comparison and think, you know, obviously it's not the size of Venus, or they really would be freaking out.
Yeah, we'd be squashed. This
Yeah.
planet would be like toast. But yeah, this is the 49s through 50s. And I mean, as you see, there are a lot just in each packet. Each one has so
Hmm.
many documents to go through and parse through. And it's a photograph of unknown aerial phenomena taken at Daytil, New Mexico by this corporal on February 25th, 1950. You know, it really perfectly round, luminous. So these are the early days of documenting these things.
Well, while we're on the subject of the early days, I wanted to interject one thing. In your research, did you come across Jesse Marcel's, or
Uh,
his name is Jesse Marcel, perchance?
not in any fashion according to this file that I'm in.
Okay, because um, he was one of the first people to that the government kind of made him look crazy
Why doesn't that surprise me?
and messed up his life to a certain degree. I watched a couple of videos, his son Jesse Marcel Jr. being interviewed, and his dad had some pieces from that crash, and I believe it was the Roswell one that he brought home. And the son describes seeing his father with with these pieces he had laid out on the table. But Jesse Marcel said he could crinkle it up, these pieces. He didn't know what they were made of, obviously, and they would smooth themselves out
Was this
again.
with yeah, the Roswell crash?
I believe it was
I
Roswell.
I have not found a file specifically on the Roswell crash yet.
Hmm.
Of course, I have not gone through every page of
Well,
this dump. This is
yeah,
a lot to go through.
yeah.
And when I
And
say
they're
a
not
lot, I
even
mean,
finished.
no, this is just two dumps. I halfway expect the Roswell dump to come at some point. I thought it was
Hmm.
going to come, a third dump was going to come last week, but, we haven't gotten a third one yet. So I'm assuming sometime during June we'll have a dump.
Well, I
And
wanted to throw this guy's name out there though, because he's one of the first. He discovered, or he had that, and I believe he was a military
okay,
oriented too, and brought it home. And his son At least he was still living in a video that I watched very recently and just talked about him seeing it himself. So what gets me about this whole thing and also while we're talking about it, it's a curiosity, is also just the fact that they tried for many years, forever, for the last 80, however long it's been, to make people think they were crazy, to discredit people.
Yes, they do. And they didn't want us to know because they figured that the population would go crazy if they knew that the existence of aliens were real. Now, we still don't have nothing in these files is, look. But the
No
thing
aha
is
moment.
right. It can't be explained. I mean, it's like in here it is, May 23rd, 1950. Here we are again. Frequent sightings of green fireballs. These things occurred also in 2025. That's what they were chasing, were green and orange orbs, fireballs. But
Well, now
there's
I'm sure you've heard of the Marfa lights, right? Here in
yes,
Texas.
yes.
Could it not be? They don't know what that is to this day and why it occurs there specifically so frequently, but maybe it's the same type of thing.
I think it has something to do with copper.
Ah,
Uh, something
it's
I was
conduit.
researching. Yeah, copper kind of sets it off, and maybe electricity and copper, the electric current in the air. You're asking me to speculate. That's physics I don't know anything about. But I did read a document in here that specifically stated something about copper being on the ground, and they're finding more and more copper on the ground, but it was also a place of really high frequent UAP sightings. So maybe copper has something to do with that. Maybe copper reveals, because remember, our naked eye can't always see the grand spectrum like a FLIR camera or night vision goggles. We don't have that capability in a human eye to see that, unlike cat's eyes that see different things, different frequencies, and different waves.
Well, if you think about it, uh, when Tesla was doing his tests, I mean, he proved that there was electricity just on the surface of the
Hmm.
planet.
Right.
So there,
He was
it's
capturing the electrons and producing
mhm,
electricity from air because
that's why it
it's
should be
all around us.
free, but that's another subject.
The rabbit hole we'll dive down
Hmm.
into, and the disappearance of individuals that have sort of maybe produced free energy. Because once you try to patent that you have a free energy device, yeah, you disappear quickly. And that includes cars that are running on,
Hmm.
a gallon of gasoline that are crossing 11,000 miles, on 1 gallon of gas.
There
So,
was a water powered vehicle too, and that guy kind of
well,
disappeared from.
hydroelectric water power was proven unstable and volatile inside a combustible engine. So
Oh,
I
I
can
didn't
I
know
can
that.
see I can kind of see why that would be not a viable resource, but I'm sure if it was more tuned, could be, but they keep shutting things like that down in favor of those that have the money and the high dollar stakes of, oil and gas.
That's interesting. So due to is H2O hydrogen,
Mm.
so in a sense that would mean water could be flammable, possibly. Is that kind of
How it makes the combustion, how it or I've never made one, so I don't know.
right?
How it's made, I guess maybe the pressure. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know the research behind it. Like I said,
That's
that's not my
interesting though.
forte. It's not
Anyway,
something
off the
I've.
subject, but I'm so
Um,
sorry.
that's okay. That's all right. That's why we're here. You know. But anyway, back on the subject of UFO disclosure. As you see here, it's like the frequency of green fireballs. These things have been occurring for, years and years and years and years, documented, and this is just what the government so far has allowed us to see. Now, moving on, Got another video here. And this video, are we? The media was digitally altered prior to its upload to a classified network and is presented as received. Okay, this is one I also found interesting. It's exerted 100 times the speed. This is a clear camera that you're seeing, and you see how fast that sucker's, it's zooming.
hmm
It's flying down the road. What could it be? Could be a drone, could be a missile, though it doesn't, it's
It's not, it couldn't be a missile because a missile would have some kind of ejection coming out of the back, wouldn't you
you
think?
saw it. Well, I would think so. Even a drone, maybe. This is also part of the same video, but it's enhanced now so that you could see more to try to get a detail of what it looked like. Um, our eyes see black and white, and you see how boom, gone. Those that are listening and can't view the actual video. Yeah, it's like zoom, it's gone, totally gone.
I mean, and it just said on there that that was at 50% speed, what we're watching now. Oh gosh, it
Yeah,
just,
and how quickly that is. That is just it's something
look,
we don't have capabilities of. Look at that. Oh, oh,
even it slowed down it to 25%, it's flying. We can look up and see an airplane and we can watch it for quite a while before
quite a
it
while.
gets up. It is in no way going, and it's going pretty fast.
That is
But
insanity on how quickly. So now it's inverted, black and white values inverted, so that way we could see it in black with the whiter background. And it's like we don't have anything that can do that.
if we do, they haven't told us about it anyway.
Correct.
And no, they being any government.
Correct. This is the full original clip of them tracking it, finding it, and it's how erratic to me it's traveling.
They're obviously not concerned about space junk.
You see it just going briefly across the screen. It's like, it's auto trying to censor and auto trying to find it
hmm
using different filters to keep, you know, keep it in target. It's
Gosh,
crazy.
it's tiny. It's a speck on the screen there,
But
but yeah.
what is it? What is it that's we don't know what it is that's tracking. Is it another drone technology? Is it from space? So we don't know what that is that's actually capturing this video.
I still kind of stand by the interdimensional thing myself, but
Quite possible. I mean, anything is possible at this point. And it's like, I wonder if people down on the ground below, if they're just sky watchers, I don't think they would be able to see this, especially if it's daytime.
mhm.
And how many, because I don't think spacecraft run around with, lights on them advertising, hey, look at me, look at me, look at me, you
Yeah,
know.
and then again, as I said in our previous show, people aren't looking up. I think they're starting to now. They're starting to pay a lot more attention, but it's been eyes forward unless something made a sound and they looked
Yeah,
up,
very,
or
very true.
something, but or there's a neat cloud that looks like a dog and oh, look, you know.
Well,
So,
in China in 2021, I think it was
mhm.
2021, thousands of people reported seeing a city floating in the sky. And it was like maybe the
Yes,
the
I think I
veil
heard.
pulled back. And this was a report that thousands of people reported seeing a city floating in the sky. So is it our twin? Is it how the reality of fabric of space and time revealed itself suddenly? And,
Mhm.
you never know. I've not
And the
seen anything
black
like that.
cube
The
that
black
people were
cube.
that
Yes.
that was really freaky, and that's numerous videos seeing this black cube, and somehow it's related to Saturn,
Yeah.
the black cube of Saturn or something.
We
I
can we
get
can
bits and pieces of information.
we can speculate esotericism in a lot of this.
Hmm.
Um, there's real no definitive answer on what this could be. And are our timelines merging? Here's another one doing the same thing.
Well, another subject, sorry about the paper rustling. Another subject that we'll be discussing in the future is the Philadelphia experiment.
Yes.
So, when you mentioned times merging, perhaps that's what happened. I mean,
Well, you've got the every time CERN's turned on. What
hmm
does that
are they
kind of
resetting things?
that
Because
makes me
did you
wonder
hear
on that.
about the Mandela effect before? I mean, I guess prior to 15 years ago,
No,
never heard of the Mandela effect. We just
we
knew
also
that.
didn't have we also didn't have the internet where everybody shared information to know that a
Mm,
certain thing existed a certain way. Until that
well,
occurred, we really didn't have a way of saying, oh, other than our immediate family and our immediate friends, remembering a object being a certain way or a person being a certain way. And then the
uh,
internet comes along, and then you have like-minded people who are sharing in this either joint delusion or Mandela that it actually happened, and we jump the timeline.
I'm sorry, but I stand firmly on Luke, I am your father.
I do too. When I
I
was
know what I saw when I
I
saw
know
that
what I saw
movie.
too. I told
I
my
know what I
mom I was
heard.
going over a friend's house and actually walked up to the movie theaters because she told me I wasn't allowed to watch Star Wars. I was like, watch this. I walked I walked my happy little butt to the movie theater and paid my own way to watch Star Wars.
Did she think it was going to scare you or
I
that it
have
was just
my mom
malarkey?
was weird. Yeah, my mom was weird. She was a weird individual. And I wasn't allowed really to do much because she grew up, she was a 50s boomer individual. Everything a woman is supposed to be, stay-at-home mom, that type of stuff.
Hmm.
But I was, wildly independent and very,
Curious.
very authoritative. So yeah,
Yeah.
I rebelled against a lot of things that she tried to instill on me.
There's so much sexual content in Star Wars.
Oh my goodness. Yeah,
I don't mean to make fun, but it's kind of funny the things that older generations thought were ooh,
yeah.
horrible. But anyway, but I
But yeah,
digress.
I
We'll
was
get
not
into the
allowed to
Mandela
watch Star
effect.
Wars, and I was like, "Nope, watch me." And I walked my little happy butt up from Edinburgh all the way up to Pembroke Mall, and yep, sure did watch Star Wars. But yeah, this is another one. Just like so many of these. Let's see if this is objects white hot UAPs. A no telling where they are, why they're here. Now, these are early people that 1940s, 50s, early, even as late as 60s, submissions from private people writing into J. Edgar Hoover, the CIA, the White House, uh, just the things that they've seen. That's all this is throughout all documentation, you know, everything front and back. First it's flying discs, now it's fireballs, paper articles. These are all the things that they've kept in chronological order, you know. Uh,
Fireballs can somewhat be explained. I mean,
I
um,
don't think any of it can be explained.
I mean, what about the ball lightning? Different, I
Ball,
guess, because
all right.
this lasts.
Ball lightning, I would remember I've had people say that ball lightning doesn't exist, and I will
Mm,
argue that point to the day I die. It does. I've seen it. My mom, my grandmother, myself were sitting at the table and on the farm in Anderson, South Carolina. We were playing Uno. It was storming up a storm. It's the only reason I was inside, bored, and the front door was open, kind of letting in a breeze, and all of a sudden, this here's the crack. We hear, see the lightning strike, hear the crack, and suddenly this orb of white lights, ball lightning is the only thing I could say, came through the door, bounced on the carpet, and everywhere it bounced, left a little char mark, nothing major, but just a little char mark, and bounced. Right, my mom grabbed me so I wouldn't go anywhere. I'm probably 13 years old, 12 years old, and it
Mm,
as it was bouncing, it bounced, and then you watched it, well, bounce down the hallway and splatter against the back bedroom door, which was my grandparents' door. It didn't go inside; it just splattered, and there was like real faint uh ash mark that you could wipe off the mark with your hand, so it wasn't permanent. But everywhere it bounced, you saw just a little bitty char mark.
was there
So
a sound with the splatter?
I want to say maybe a boom, but I don't really recall.
Yeah.
I don't really recall a sound. And if it was, it wasn't loud. Maybe I don't know. I don't recall. I can't
Yeah, it's been
say.
you've slept since then a
Yeah,
little
I've
bit.
slept since then. Yeah. So but yeah, I will argue to say that ball lightning does exist because I have seen it physically. And
Okay.
a lot of people will say no, it does not exist because it is inconceivably, it's impossible. And I'm like, okay, well, what was that I saw then? Y
I
you know,
just wonder with orbs if they're not just simply a ball of energy
plasma ball.
that's luminous. That's, and I'm not trying to debunk or poo-poo because I know the essentially disclosure has happened. I mean, this is in the news or reported every single day
Yeah,
lately, especially since these dumps came out. I mean, it's constant.
most
And
definitely it has. And everybody is seeing these files. You're welcome to go look at, the war.gov/UFO. There it is. It's right there in your face. There's no bullshit. There it is. You know,
right. It's just, I think people are waiting for an official announcement. It's almost as if they don't hear it from the president, whoever that may be at the time, it's not true.
and
No.
no, I
So
think it's more if an alien has to go up on the news and say, "Hey, I'm an alien, guys. Welcome,
yeah.
welcome me to your planet."
And
So
I
yeah.
know that we're not probably going to be talking about this next week, but this isn't a subject that's going to be closed after today.
Oh no, 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 no.
Eventually, we will do a segment about verified different alien quote unquote beings
Yes,
that
the
are
yes, yes,
definitively exist supposedly. So
yes, and a
that'll
part of
come later.
the intergalactic space.
Intergalactic Federation of
Yeah, yeah, space aliens.
the
Yeah,
thing is, I don't think they work together. I don't think the insect ones intermingle with the Nordics, or I think they're all separate with separate agendas. Some
there's
nefarious,
a
some
lot of different theories on that war is still ongoing, and that we're just segmented off from that war, and we're controlled by the reptilians. And they've forgotten about us because the war is still ongoing throughout the galaxy, basically, and we're stuck.
the ones I
That's just a
wonder
theory.
about the most are really the Nordics because they look so humanoid,
Yeah,
and
look more
it's
like
just
us
they
than yeah.
just extremely tall and extremely pale. I mean, I have a savage tan compared to those beings. So they're
Yeah.
interesting. They're almost not not frightening. I mean, if I had to have a meeting with one, I'd much rather meet with a Nordic than a reptilian
Any
because
day.
reptilians seem to have a
or
nefarious
or the
agenda.
mantis looking ones that
Oh,
snap up. Yeah, yeah,
like
no, the
from Independence Day.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, mantis
Anyway,
looking ones. But anyway, now this is the one that I find the most interesting,
okay.
most weird, and of the disclosures that I found this far. Now I found, like I said, hundreds of videos. And I'm playing a lot of them. I'm gonna play more after this, but this one is the one that I really, really interesting.
Okay.
And here it comes. Oh, don't you? There you go. It is a star-shaped UFO.
Wow.
As you see,
Wow.
yeah, it looks like what are those north, south, east, west compass looking things that you see?
Yes.
Yes, it is a star shape. That whole thing is the UFO.
I had not seen that. Does it have a date?
This one
Sighting
is
1/1/2013. Okay.
2013. January 1st of 2013 is the date it was taken. This is the
That's
weirdest one that I've
incredible.
found so far. And you see by the trail, it's just like floating around, da 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 da, floating
No
around.
chance of a firework, I suppose, because it's not good.
It would
It's,
burn out. It would
yeah,
burn out. Yeah, you would see it hot white and burn out, and it's not doing that.
it seems to be leaving a trail behind it, though.
Now, if you look over
Do you
here, look
see
at that.
that?
Do you see this over here? That's what
Yes,
I'm saying. It's
redacted.
like, yeah, it's like it's bouncing off maybe it's its own what you call it, uh, shield that you're seeing.
Well,
You're
see,
catching the
because
glit. Look at that. See that?
I see a line there. You see that white line underneath it?
Yeah, I don't know what that white line
That's
is, but okay.
stationary.
Yeah,
Excuse the cough. That's
really, really strange.
wild. Yeah, honestly, I've not seen that ever. I've seen they always say tic-tac shaped.
And there it goes.
I
Woof.
don't know why
Off it
that
goes.
bothers me, but
Okay,
wow,
now
and it just vanished that quick.
and it vanished that quick. All right, here we go. And I'm going.
When
Ezekiel's
they appear
wheel.
before a human, their first words are always, "Be not afraid." Biblically accurate angels aren't the shining humans with wings that we commonly see in pop culture, but the way the Bible describes them is quite different. And once you understand what they really are, those UAP files might make a whole lot more sense. Because a biblical angel's famous tagline, "Be not afraid," wasn't their way of comforting you, but rather a warning, because your human mind would be incapable of understanding what you're even looking at whenever they showed up. Now, the word angel comes from the Greek angelos, meaning messenger, their main purpose being to deliver some sort of announcement to us, which might kind of be exactly what's going on here. There's many different types of these angels as described in the Bible, and each one is just more incomprehensible than the next. So I'm going to explain to you in plain English biblically accurate angels as described in the book of Ezekiel, and then we'll talk about that. So the first type is called the Ophanim, also known as thrones, and this is pretty much exactly how the Bible describes them. The Ophanim appear in Prophet Ezekiel's vision of heaven, describing them as enormous spinning wheels within wheels in the sky, completely covered in eyes, which move in every direction instantly all at once, representing omnipresent awareness, that nothing can be hidden and it knows all. Everything, everywhere, at the same time, past, present, and future. That's what these eyes observe. The Ophanim are said to have the sparkle or color of chrysolite, which is a yellowish green gemstone, and move in perfect sync with what were known as the living creatures, of which 4 accompanied the Ophanim in Ezekiel's vision, which were also called cherubim, which is the second type of angel, oftentimes depicted as little baby angels like Cupid in modern culture, but they are far from it, because cherubim are weird. So weird that Ezekiel struggles to describe them with mere human words and kinda doesn't even know what he's looking at. We do know that there were 4 of them, and each of those 4 had 4 faces, each looking in a different direction. One of a man, one of a lion, one of an ox, and an eagle. Now, these angels actually did have massive wings, 4 of them to be exact, and they kind of moved around in unexplainable ways and geometric patterns hard to physically describe. And they also moved in perfect sync with the wheels of the Ophanim. Again, kind of difficult to explain exactly what that means to a human mind, but that's the whole point of Be Not Afraid. Beneath their wings, the cherubim had the hands of a human and their feet resembled the hooves of a calf. They also glowed very brightly, like burning coals of fire and flashes of lightning. Oh, and their entire bodies, hands, and wings were also full of eyes. Seems to be a theme here. Now, above the heads of these cherubim and Ophanim was said to be an expanse, in some translations referred to as a firmament that looked like ice. And above that was a throne of sapphire, with a figure that looked like a man glowing with fire and surrounded by a rainbow, which was probably God himself in this vision, who back in Genesis gave the cherubim flaming swords and instructed them to guard the gates of Eden. Eden after Adam and Eve were kicked out so that no one would be allowed back in. Just a bit of background lore here, which leads us to the next type of angel, one of the most powerful in the Bible, said to be closest to God in the celestial hierarchy, known as the seraphim. And just like the other two, they're kind of hard to explain, as they're supposed to be beyond human comprehension. This one is described in the book of Isaiah as having 6 wings, one set that covers their face, another that covers their feet, and a last set that keeps them flying. The name seraphim literally translates to the burning ones, hence they also had a very fiery appearance to them, bodies of pure celestial light that would incinerate anything unworthy standing in their presence. Now, these angels all have an extremely divine, almost otherworldly appearance to them that the worldly mind is said to be unable to decipher, which is why all these depictions always look so weird and abstract. It's our best attempt at trying to understand something so humanly impossible. And when the prophets of the Bible saw them, they weren't like, "Oh, hey angel, great to meet you." They fell to their faces in reverence and begged not to be destroyed, terror followed by unexplainable awe. It's almost like they exist in a plane beyond our own, moving through dimensions we can't access and operate outside of worldly physics. I think you know what I'm getting at here, as it's leading some people to insist that this is what we've been seeing flying around in our skies and in those declassified government videos. UAPs, unidentified aerial phenomena, which technically speaking is exactly what these angels would by definition be. Aerial phenomena that we can't exactly identify. And although many of the UAPs we've been shown do appear very metallic and mechanical, not angelic whatsoever, there are quite a few that do appear almost unworldly, flickering, glowing, and spinning in a similar fashion as described in biblical texts. There are also these images provided to us by NASA of faraway nebula filled with rings and what appear to be eyes in the middle, which many are pointing out do have a similar appearance to the Ophanim as well, hidden deep in our skies, exactly where they would be. Kind of a reach this one, I'll admit, but interesting to note. Because then we have the UAP files disclosure, which among many declassified videos released, showed us this one. The now famous 8-pointed glowing star-looking object moving through the sky in erratic patterns released by the Pentagon, which some people have already debunked as just being diffraction spikes from a drone lens or a signal flash being carried by a parachute, but you be the judge here. Because very, very similar objects as this can be found in ancient Sumerian tablets and even old Renaissance-era paintings, typically found alongside their mythical gods, some with wings, and other biblically inspired works, suggesting that maybe this isn't the first time whatever this thing is has visited us, or maybe it's just an artist letting his imagination run wild. Well, strangely enough, there's almost a nearly identical shape as this star UAP found on the official logo of the CIA. Yeah. Surely we're just reading into things a little too much over here, aren't we? And then there's this footage released to us shortly after by the Ukrainian military of, another star-shaped UAP zipping around erratically. This is officially released footage too, which kind of looks like... yeah, okay, anyway, moving on. I really don't know what to think about all this UAP disclosure being released recently, especially after seeing how the US Department of War styled the website they dropped them on. If you haven't seen it, it has a very ooh, top secret, classified info, movie-like aesthetic to it, and it all just feels very performative to me. Almost like they're trying a little too hard to shove this disclosure down our throats. But I do believe that these angels described in the Bible are in fact too great for our human eyes and minds to even begin to comprehend, so those videos are probably not that. So I'll finish this off with a piece of divine wisdom that points us to the truth more than any description or video can, as given to us by King Solomon in the book of Proverbs. Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he will make your path straight. When they appear...
Wow.
So what do you think?
I'm blown away. I'm absolutely blown away. I'll say something that is wildly, to a degree, unpopular. I think these things are either angelic or demonic. Now, you people will say angels. I mean, angels and demons. Let's just face it. They were all once God's angels. Okay? We had the rebellion. We had the rebellion. And a third of them, or which we don't even know how many there are, probably they outnumber us greatly, obviously, probably throughout history. They went down. A great many went with Satan. We know he's the prince of lies. So, in my opinion, and I humble myself, and people are welcome to poo-poo me or whatever, but I just think all of it is from one realm or the other, and it presents itself depending on which realm it's coming from. Does that
I
make
would agree with you.
me sound crazy?
No, right now we can't confirm or deny any of them. We don't know what they are. I didn't
Yeah. All of it,
know
all of us are just theorizing in the long run.
exactly.
I can't hear you. Oh, there you are.
Yeah, I said exactly. You have no idea what they are. You just, these things are
Yeah.
appearing uh, just around the world. 2024, June 1st, 2024. There's this little white one running around, uh, Iran. Or is it? No, I'm sorry, United Arab Emirates. Here's another one in from Syria. From whatever,
That's
you
why I
know,
don't understand why our specific government in the US, other governments are open to it. They're not trying to, and not all of them, granted, but they're not trying to keep it from the public. I don't understand why there's
now
a group of elite, quote, and I use that in quotations because to me they're not elite, that think they have the right to have this information and we don't, and that we're so daft that it's going to upset our whole. I'm telling you right now, you can present anything to me. I'm still going to be a God fearing, I'm still going to be a child of God. Okay.
I want you
This
to take a
doesn't
quick
shake
look
my
over here.
religion, my faith any. It just doesn't.
I would agree with you, you know. I want you to take a look over here. I
Oh,
want to
sure.
ask you, what is it that you see? Or should I
Gulf of
say, what is it that you don't see?
don't see.
You
Just seems
have,
like they're cutting out America from these.
bingo. United
Ding,
Arab
ding, ding,
Emirates,
ding.
Syria,
Oh,
Syria, Syria, Greece, Greece, Greece. We can sit there and monitor everybody else in the world, but you're not monitoring us. Why?
yeah.
You
Now,
know,
yeah, because we saw in the
Africa, Middle East.
documentation from the 40s, America all over.
Hmm.
Well, mostly Arizona, New Mexico, and West
And now it's
Texas.
stopped, and now we're documenting the rest of the world and omitting the United States. Now, of course, everything in,
Hello. Oh, sorry,
in this,
you cut out right there. You might want to say
I'm
that
sorry,
sentence again.
it's the same thing over and over again. They're documenting it all over the world, except for our own backyard. Well, of course, the CIA is not supposed to operate in the United States anyway, but yet we know they do,
Yeah.
and but it is, you see these globally.
Hmm.
Department of the Army. Where is this one located? I don't think it tells us where this one's located. No, it
Never heard it worded that way. Department of the Army.
doesn't. Just
Having,
what the what?
ooh,
Look at them flying across the sky. Oh,
yeah.
there's two of them there. Interesting.
It's odd that today I'm having trouble. You're cutting in and out
It's odd that we're both.
unusually.
It's odd that we're both having like mic issues when we're on the Department of War website. There's
Yeah.
nothing odd about
I
that.
mean, look, if you don't want us to actually go and look at it and
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 share our
talk about it,
information.
then, I mean, this is public knowledge. So if you're
Yeah,
jacking with our sound, stop it.
of course they are.
Well,
I
you
had
just, I
no
mean, I feel like they jack with us at every
irrit
turn, every turn.
anytime I'm on their website, even when I was looking at the Epstein file dump, yeah, it was messing with my phone, something
Mhm.
serious. And I was just like, really, guys, come on. You asked for me to look at it, and then, here I am looking at it. Now you're gonna mess with my phone.
As far as I'm concerned, disclosure has happened and it's been a long time.
Hmm.
Um, I am really, there's two things I wanted to talk about, and I have not watched this yet. but Jeremy Corbell, you know who he is, I'm sure,
Mhm. Yes.
uh, has a documentary on Amazon. I believe it just came out, uh, maybe days or a couple weeks. I'm not sure, but it's called Sleeping Dog.
Okay.
I have not watched it yet. You can purchase it on Amazon for 14.99 streaming,
Okay.
or rent
That's
it
not
for
bad.
5.99.
Yeah,
And
that's not bad.
Jeremy Corbell is somebody that I find credible. He's been researching this stuff for a very long time, and so I plan to purchase this and watch it, and we'll convene again at a later date about what that had
I
to
really
say.
I
Also,
really like the series Ancient Aliens. I mean, because it basically goes over a lot of the Sumerian tablets, a lot of the
mm,
artworks that were found. Did we in the beginning, you know, created in God's image? Were we spliced DNA? That's a question for a whole nother podcast. As we
yeah,
continue to
I
dive
stopped
deep.
watching Ancient Aliens years ago for some reasons, and we'll talk about them. But I do. There's some people that I did follow. I followed David Wilcock,
Mhm.
um, and Mike Barra, who's been
Mike
on
Barrow.
there
Yep.
too. Love Mike Barra. I've read his book, The Choice, which shameless plug. I'll plug that for him because it was a fantastic book, and he doesn't write above your head like I'm going to treat you like an idiot where you're going to have to look up every other word.
Like
So I
Neil
highly
deGrasse
recommend
Tyson.
The Choice by Mike
Right.
Barra because he's a scientific minded guy, absolutely. And he's not poo pooing biblical anything.
This is where the Chariots of the Gods book came from. And it ties back to a lot of the ancient Sumerian people. And when you look at
Mm,
certain symbols and you're just like, okay, symbols are symbols. They can be recycled, reused, and have different meanings across different religious cultures, etc., etc. But some things,
mm.
it's just, it makes you wonder, is that really the UFO that they're depicting? Is that really a dog man in Egypt they're depicting? Is it,
Well, we know they do chimeras. I mean, mad scientists, I mean,
yes.
chimeras exist, and I
Are
just
we a,
absolutely feel sorry for them.
were we a type of chimera? That was where I was going with, believe it or not.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Are
Well,
we actually a chimera? Were we created in a laboratory for a slave race from pre-human humans?
you're going into Anunnaki territory, and somebody like
I
Zachariah
certainly am.
Sitchin, he's absolutely definitively believed that. Me personally, never going to believe anything created us but God. However, I do believe that Satan, being the prince of lies and the prince of everything antithetical to God, would experiment, would um, do something like that. He wants to damage the DNA of humans.
Mhm.
And I can also relate that back to certain vaccines, maybe
Yeah,
in
yeah,
my
I would agree
mind,
with you.
you
mRNA,
know.
most definitely.
And Dr. Roger Lear, who's passed
Mhm.
away now, having taken out 17 implants long before Elon Musk discussed implantation. Somebody was doing that. Somebody or something's implanting things into humans.
Well, you know, dissection and study of humans has been going on since the science, health,
Mm-hmm.
everything. But as far as UFO goes, yes, we absolutely have had disclosure.
Mm-hmm.
It's right there in front of our faces. But what these things are, where they're from, still has not been identified. And there is no little green man. There is no picture that I have found yet. And I've gone through hundreds of these files, because each line item has, 116 pages or, 15, 20 files embedded in it, and those files have other files embedded. It's a rabbit hole to get through each and every one.
Well,
So yeah,
what do you
there's
think this about Disclosure Day? I mean, this movie, I have a feeling it's going to be the blockbuster movie of the year. Disclosure Day. I think it
Well,
comes out June 12th.
we
They're
shall see.
Hollywood has been telling us this stuff in movies for years, going back to Close Encounters,
I mean, you think what the
Contact.
alien's gonna drop on the front lawn and, on the 4th of July, which is our 255th, birthday, and say, "Hey, here I am, disclosure," you know?
Yes, yes.
That's
And then,
really the only way people are gonna really say, "Oh, okay." Until you show me pictures of actual aliens live, then I don't
mhm.
know if I will say I believe in, extraterrestrials, not interterrestrials, extraterrestrials, those that come from outer space,
Well, I'm
coming
going
from
to see them, but I'm not necessary if we see them, if they do present themselves. But I'm never going to say they are what they say they are. I'm not going to believe that they are what they say they are.
yeah,
I can't go there. But I don't knock anybody who does. I don't
correct.
expect people to think like me, but that's just my going to be my firm stance on it because and I think as these things present themselves, as the information is dumped, please people use discernment. And if we have that landing on the White House lawn or we see something that they're trying to push as definitive, use discernment.
Use
You,
discernment. Yes,
you
that
don't
is
have to
I
drop your
agree.
faith. You don't have to change anything immediately. You don't, I mean, because that's what they're afraid of is disrupting really all faith. But then again, I think if this is some kind of psychological operation of any kind,
There's
why
too much
wouldn't they?
evidence. There's too much evidence to say otherwise.
Mm,
I don't think it's a psychological operation. I
mm.
think it is something that we just can't mentally grasp because we're too young as a species.
We're
You know,
babies in the grand
we're
scheme of
we're
things.
babies. There are things that are out there that we may never understand, at least in our lifetime. Will they say, "Oh, wait," but really, honestly, we've got a lot of learning to do, and we can't even get along as a human species. So, do you think, we've got some space hippies out there that are coming in and say, "Hey, peace and love, we're here to teach y'all, to give y'all new tech," and no, if there are space aliens, they're here to conquer us. There is no such thing as space hippies. Yeah, I'm
Think
sorry, it just
about
doesn't exist.
Independence Day when the two dancers, exotic dancers, were there, and the one lady says, "Please don't go
Hmm.
and look at this. Don't go."
Don't go. Yeah,
And of course, her friend promised, and you
there
know,
she goes with her little
there's a
sign.
cautionary tale about breaking the promise there, and she dies.
But
So,
that's it. There's no such thing as space hippies. I do not believe they come in peace. They come to conquer. They come to control.
even the
You know,
Nordics, you would think that
I
of them
do
too.
not, the Nordics would not come until we're threatened by another species of alien. Um, because they will not interfere. That is their charter. I 100% agree. They will not interfere with humankind. Whether they've transferred,
Hmm.
information with government entities, but actually policing Nordics, that I don't believe that that's our charter. Even Palladians and stuff like that. I
Mhm.
think they leave us alone to develop our.
Speaking of Palladians, I'm glad you brought them up. Do we have any depictions or descriptions of what the Palladians aren't they more humanoid looking as well?
Hmm. I think they're like
Okay.
tall white. No, Palladian. Yeah, I think they're tall whites, like the Nordics, if I'm not
Okay,
mistaken.
so it's
I'll
the
have to look
same.
it up.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. When we do that subject, we'll
yeah. When we do,
delve into
it'll be our
that.
wrap up alien subjects, which will probably be not next week because we have a special guest that might be coming on. But it will be within the next couple of weeks. We'll do our wrap up on different types of aliens.
Okay.
Okay. Well,
Did you
listen,
get around to
guys.
everything that you
Yes, I
wanted
did.
to today?
I
Okay,
wanted to
good.
show all those videos and everything that came across, and have a little bit of discussion. There so far to me is no, aha, there's aliens, they're real. Right now, all we're seeing is
Right.
spacecraft flying around. They could be, non-biological entities, non-biologics. They could be people, little green men inside of them. I don't know that answer. I don't know what's controlling these spacecraft. I don't know where they're coming from. I don't know what they are. But we definitely have something going on in our skies that we're not 100% privy to as far as what they are, but we do see them. We do recognize they're there. Anyway, guys,
Yes.
this concludes another wonderful episode of Tinfoil Taco Truck. And you guys, remember, think for yourself, question authority, and stay ready. Peace.
Peace.